Hi, welcome to our first prototype episode 0 little adventure into the podcast realm. I'm one of your hosts, Kay.
And my name is D.
And we are siblings. I'm 2 years younger than him. And yeah, he's my older brother. But we decided that, you know what, everyone talks about starting a podcast. I mean, who doesn't? Like, it's a meme at this point. But we recently have just been talking about like people's relationships with siblings and how often it's not the same as ours, and we're quite close, and we talk about a lot of movies and TV shows, but also just, you know, growing up and all that kind of jazz. And we thought, well, why don't we just yap, because that's what we do best. Yes, if you couldn't already notice, we are Australian, so sorry if that sticks out, but that is who we are. We don't really have a title or a name, for the podcast yet. But if you do have suggestions, let us know. Or if we do figure it out, I guess you'll find out too. But this is just a little test.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really consider any sort of names for this podcast, but I think it's largely a space where we can discuss things that we've been up to, and also just kind of put our thoughts to words. Because we watch a lot of shows, TV shows, movies.
Yeah. We grew up, like, our dad was he's a huge movie buff, so we grew up in that space and just like being into entertainment in all kinds of ways and stuff. So
yeah, I mean, our dad really likes Bollywood movies. I mean, we're South Asian, so
yes,
South Asian Australians, I guess, first generation Australians. So then my dad's into movies, and then so we came here, and recently, I mean, as growing up as siblings, it's often really easy to sort of diminish each other and not talk to each other.
Yeah.
As many siblings would recognize today, that, and then finding a common point to discuss. I think what we found was watching movies together really helped us sort of communicate.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this podcast is for us to share the thoughts and feelings of movies and its larger implications in our lives.
Yes. And how often art touches us individually. But for this episode, we actually really wanted to be talking about a show that not everybody knows, and that's part of the reason why we're talking about it, is because there's like 5 fans, truly.
Yeah, I mean, I was introduced to it because I was just kind of honestly bored to death from staying at home because we're in uni holidays. So, yeah, what's the name of the show?
So it's called School Spirits, as you can probably tell by the title, but we're kind of starting at a really odd point because we're getting towards the end of the second season. We didn't start this when the show started because, I mean, I guess it's just been a long time coming, but I guess we'll start just by how we found the show and how we started it, and then just go into the deeper analysis stuff that we wanted to discuss. So I originally found the show. It happened. I grew up watching a lot of like Disney Channel, as you know, any girly would. I grew up loving it, and a lot of the cast is from Disney Channel, like the guy that plays Wally and Peyton List, obviously the main lead. She is phenomenal, and I recently, again, huge movie buff, so huge Karate Kid fan. So obviously, naturally, I watched Cobra Kai. Peyton List was in that. And then I just kind of followed her sort of adventure through Disney Channel to Cobra Kai to now this. And I was also a huge fan of Milo, the guy that plays Wally. And so I was like, let me just give this a shot. And honestly, I quite literally watched it for the cast. I didn't give the story any kind of space. I was just kind of like, all right, this seems fun. I'm bored. I reckon it was 2023. I was just bored. I was like, let me just watch it. And it honestly blew me away. Yeah. And that was season 1. And then I kind of forgot about it after a while, and then, found out that season 2 was coming out, and I was like, oh shit, like I didn't think they were going to continue the story. Because again, viewership was quite low at the time, but yeah. And then season 2 came out, and I kind of just binged the first 3 episodes, and then was waiting for the new episodes to drop weekly, and then I guess I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, I mean, very similar sort of. Well, actually, I'm probably the one who watches like less stuff. I'm usually busy doing something else, but this time around it was kind of like we're coming to the end of uni holidays, and all the fun things that we had planned to do is kind of finishing up, so I was really bored. And then one day I just remember walking to my sister's room. Obviously, as an older brother, I had to annoy her. And she was talking about watching a show, and I was making fun of how she was watching Cobra Kai on repeat. And then I was like, "Oh, what are you watching, Cobra Kai?" And she tells me, "No, it's his new show." And out of just as a little guess, I was like, "Oh, is it drama or is it supernatural?" And then as I was walking out of the room, and then she tells me it's supernatural, and that piqued my interest because I really like the supernatural genre, and especially that idea of comfortable horror or like comfortable mystery. And I think this show really does encapsulate that feeling a lot. And honestly, watching season 1, I was incredibly surprised at the level of quality that is put into the show. Look, if I'm being honest, the story wasn't all that. Like, it was definitely not that deep, and I don't think it's meant to be that deep.
Yeah. I mean, it is deep in like where it needs to be deep, but in terms of like the overarching story, like it's not Stranger Things. We'll have an episode on Stranger Things too. That's coming. We have a lot to discuss. There's a lot to discuss there because that's a whole story. But the show is written by 2 siblings as well, so I felt it would be perfect for us to talk about this show. 2 brother and sister duo, Megan and Nate Trinrad, I believe their last names are. But I mean, just incredible writing, but also just incredible filmmaking.
I think the filmmaking part of this, I feel like needs a lot of attention because, like, if you look at this show as a complete, no idea what it is, perhaps the first thing that gets you, at least in season 1, is how insanely well it's shot. Like, it really takes you back. Like, you're watching it and you're like, holy shit, like, all of a sudden you have these really clean aspect ratio changes and these beautiful shots taken with like what I think are vintage lenses. Like, I'm just getting into photography myself, like buying a new camera and like looking at all these like photography YouTubers, and like I see these really cool lenses with really cool shots in School Spirits, and you can definitely tell that whoever is working on it are really passionate about the craft. Like, despite the story, I mean, the story is really good. The story beats work, but it's not meant to be taken too seriously.
Right.
But they really shine by showing their technical ability to sort of shoot the shots and depict the story they want to depict. In the best way possible.
Yeah, and I've watched a bunch of interviews with the cast, and they've mentioned how when they're shooting, it's often not actor-to-actor dialogue. They're talking to the camera lens. And you can, after they've said that, I can kind of see that. Especially in season 1, you'll have, like, Simon when he's, like, talking to Maddie, or Maddie's talking to Simon, or whatever. They're looking at the bottom of a camera lens because they're looking directly at you, the viewer. Even that, and we can get into that and that whole thing, but the lighting as well.
Yeah, I think the lighting is really nice. You can clearly see that, like, the amount of effort and care that's been put into making the lighting, like, really good. Like, let's just say, if you take a step back in the production, right, and you just kind of look at this entire thing as a whole, it's not a lot of set pieces, and it's not really extravagant. You just have a couple of characters in a limited number of set pieces, and they do their best to, like, sort of perform within those restrictions. And I think we'll get back to this idea in the later episodes as well. It's the idea that limitation breeds creativity.
Yeah.
And they had a very limited budget for the first season, is my guess. I don't know. But I'm guessing they had a limited budget. So they decided to do the best that they absolutely can with what they had. And I think they really succeeded, because season 1 to me is honestly a really it's like a hidden gem, honestly. And your thoughts as well?
Yeah, no, I watched it separately from you. So yeah, I guess I had my sort of things, sort of my sort of opinions prior to watching it with you, and then I didn't appreciate how good of a job that they did when I was first watching it, because I was so absorbed in the story. But watching it with you sort of opened my eyes up to camera lenses. Music was a big thing, though. Like, the soundtrack is incredible.
Yeah, lots of investment into that.
Definitely, especially with season 2, which we'll get into in a second. With with like David Bowie and, you know, all these incredible artists that they call back to, and especially through the perception of time is just incredible. And yeah, I mean, I've always felt that way.
Yeah, like the music was actually really good. Season 1.
Yeah. Oh my god. When episode 1, Phoebe Bridgers comes in with "I Know the End," and that, I mean, we've played that song in the car like multiple times. Like, that song is incredible, first of all, and to start the episode off, like the season 1 off with that song, when, you know, Simon and Maddie see each other for the first time, and then to end off the season with Doomsday, like, are you kidding? Like, just incredible. And these are like my favorite artists ever. So
yeah, I wasn't expecting to see that, especially because I listened to that song before so many times. Yeah, hearing it was definitely very interesting.
Yeah.
I like it just took me back, because I feel like, and that song really fits the theming,
the narrative, yeah, you know.
and the narrative of the show as well. So you can clearly tell they spent a lot of. It was very thoughtful. Like, nothing in the show, like, I'm sure you guys will understand when you're watching some random show on Netflix, it's like absolute garbage. like
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just watching it and then it's just really shit.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, like, everything felt really thoughtful. So yeah, I think that's very interesting that way, you know.
Yeah, and I think also, like, something that I was mentioning to Dee as well was that we've tried quite literally any show that we can sort of watch, because we're always so bored. And I kind of forced him to watch Outer Banks, and he wasn't the biggest fan of that.
Oh my god, Outer Banks sucked. Like, I don't want to get too much into it, but
Yeah,
Outer
no.
Banks was really bad.
Yeah,
It was
I mean,
just like,
you respect it for what it was. We don't want to get cancelled. There's a lot of fans.
yeah, like, you know what? Yeah, look, okay, here, a little disclaimer. All these are my opinions. You know, I don't intend any offense in any way, but good God, Outer Banks was a hard watch. Like, I watched season 1 and I was...
There's definitely merits to it.
Yeah, there's merits to the story, but I was, like, mildly intrigued at best. And then...
yeah, but
for the record, this is coming from an Uncharted fan. I love Uncharted to death.
Yeah.
But Outer Banks just didn't capture that idea.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know, regardless, like, I think it's like I feel like watching those shows, and I feel like narrative wise, and especially with, like, I don't know if this show is technically a teen drama or like a, you know, a young adult show, but it certainly feels that way in some elements. But they do it so well, and I feel like that's so rare to have a show that's genuinely that intriguing and shot really, really well.
Yeah, like, I think I probably should have, as a podcaster now, I probably should have done my due diligence and maybe searched it up. But some of those shots they looked like they switched they had a use of both film and digital video. And I think that's very interesting because, I mean, first of all, working with film, I don't know if they did, but working with film is very difficult. And if they did do that, I think they deserve a lot of
props to them.
Props and a lot of credibility for their work. Working with difficult mediums to bring their creative idea to light. Now, I also got to mention season 2 so far. I mean, at least up to episode 6. Was it? That was the last one I watched.
Yes.
At least up to episode 6, I didn't see as much creativity in that expression of shots.
I think that's because there's a lot more story.
Yeah. I think they had a creative vision with the first.
It's not lost.
It's not lost. No, it's definitely not lost.
It's still there.
It's still there. It's just it's different in a different. It's different in a tangential way, sort of.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the excels they had in season 1, they definitely did carry over to season 2, and they definitely do try. But the story is just getting more.
They're exploring it more.
Yeah, they're exploring that sandbox that they created in
Exactly.
the first season, and that doesn't leave as much space, I reckon, to do all that creative expression stuff.
Yeah, which again, like, and the show creators have discussed it, season 1 at least, as like a whodunit, where they're kind of uncovering all the characters, you're learning about
That's
them.
probably my biggest gripe about season 1, and I understand, like, that is the whole point of the show.
Thematically, it makes
sense.
sense.
Like, I mean, you're not supposed to take it too serious, but they do just, like, do the typical, oh, is it this person? Or, no, it's this person.
Yeah.
Oh, it's this person.
Yeah, but again, that's thematically and also narratively speaking.
Sure,
that's
yeah,
how
and
a
I
whodunit kind of...
that's that part that we were talking about. Like, it's not a story to be taken that seriously.
Right, it's quite literally, there's ghosts.
Yeah,
like,
it's just like there's ghosts in a school and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
so.
but the thing is like, I mean, at least we're going to talk about sort of do a little summary on our thoughts on season 1 before we go into season 2. But my thoughts on season 1, at least, was I was fully wholeheartedly expecting a who killed Maddie. Like, I genuinely thought she was dead.
Honestly, same.
I thought they were going to find a body. And then for me personally, the plot twist was insane. Like, I genuinely, I was blown away. I didn't have words to describe what the heck just happened.
We're Buddhist, by the way. So when we were watching it, we're just like, whoa, I didn't see that angle.
No, definitely not. So, like, we definitely, I definitely at least was like, whoa, like, I'm kind of, this is incredible. Like, I didn't expect it to go that way. I was wholeheartedly expecting a murder mystery kind of deal.
Yeah, but because of that ending, I remember when it happened, I looked at my sister, I'm like, oh no, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
And like, because I was sort of expecting to see a killer, and that's kind of what like the expectation was, I guess. But I feel like season 2 really picked up and ran with that idea.
For sure. They definitely, you can tell that this story, it wasn't just like, oh, it's a plot twist for the sake of a plot twist. Like, they have a story written out, they have a narrative that they want to focus on, and, you know, even the ghost of, like, Janet, which we'll get into, is like, she has a reason why she's there, she has a reason why she's done what she's done. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I definitely do feel like it wasn't a plot twist for the sake of a plot twist.
Yeah, I think, I mean, clearly that was the direction that they were going in. Yeah, I think this is not a story that needs to be taken too seriously, so really my only gripe kind of nullifies itself because you know, you're not really supposed to give a shit about it. It's just
it knows exactly what it is.
Exactly, it knows what it is. It's not trying to be anything fancy, you know. It's not Christopher Nolan. It's just it's just a really comfortable show that you can just switch your brain off and just watch. At least, so I mean, if we're speaking on season 1, I really enjoyed it. It kept me on my toes onto the end, and
I mean, we binged that entire
I mean, it was
season.
in like a day, day and a half. I think that pretty much summarizes my thoughts on season 1 really well.
We'll definitely touch on it as we keep these episodes going. But okay, so season 2, you know, we start off with sort of a backstory on Janet and why she is the way that she is, and almost immediately. Oh my god, I thought it was incredible what they did with Xavier, like his character arc.
Yeah, he definitely grew on me.
He was so annoying at the start. I was like, I don't want to see him on my screen.
Yeah, I remember telling Kay, like, I was like sitting there, I'm like, God, he doesn't look like he's even acting. Like, he doesn't look. He looks like he's acting. Like, you know, I was like, oh yeah. If you like look at the other actors, they look like they're the characters, right? But Xavier just looks like an actor acting.
Yeah.
And then somehow his character actually morphed into something a bit more interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
And that idea of I'm seeing an actor acting sort of just became a part of his character, like a somewhat weirdly awkward person that's like kind of doesn't look like he's fully there sometimes. Like, no offense to the actor, he did a good job.
He's incredible. That's the thing. It's like,
I mean, clearly it's a direction they want to take that character in, and
I think honestly though, credits to the writing, because at the start of the show I'm like, I don't want to see him on my screen. I think he's so annoying. Respectfully, like, I was just annoyed. It's Xavier, you know, it's a shitty ex-boyfriend. Like, you think that he's the one that killed Maddie. No one wanted to see him, especially that scene where he's like watching SpongeBob so intensely in season 1. I was like, what is happening? Like, is he actually a serial killer? And then, you know, to season 2, this opener where he sees the ghost in the hospital, and like that exploration, and potentially Maddie's dad, which we'll get into, was just incredible. And I really love how they did that, because it adds a new edge to his motivation and how he potentially starts to believe Simon, and how almost Simon and him have a really great relationship now as friends.
And that's I kind of hold on to a similar sentiment as well. His character really did grow on me, kind of going through with season 1, and I think his character exploration in season 2 is also very interesting, and he really does grow on me as a character. I suppose the weakest character, if I had to sort of outline, would be, gosh, what was the name?
Nicole.
Nicole. And I know, like, on
School
Spirit,
she gets a lot of hate.
Yeah. And look, I don't want to hate. I'm not hating, but she's probably the weakest character out of the 3, and I think that's because she just wasn't given a lot of time by the writers.
Yeah.
I
think think it's hard. You have quite a big cast.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do the Stranger Things thing of like loading on new characters.
You definitely don't have the time to.
Yeah, and I think even this series is pretty tight on budget from what it looks like.
Yeah.
And what they've achieved with that is obviously great, as we discussed before. But yeah, I feel like Nicole is probably the weakest character. But I think they're kind of working on it, even though on episode 6 I was kind of infuriated. But I think similar sentiment is shared online. I don't know.
Yeah, but I do completely I do understand her whole the whole stealing money arc, and it's like, you know, that was obviously there for a reason and all that stuff. Yeah, but a really another character that sort of grew on me was Claire, actually, especially in episode 6. To me, she always felt like a background character. I didn't really care about her. Claire, she's Australian though, so we love her.
Yeah, like Claire in season 1 was like, it was such a quick flip.
Yeah,
it was honestly like, oh, she's antagonist number 1, and then immediately she became
part of the gang.
Yeah, part of the gang, and I was like, oh, that's kind of jarring, but you know, it's okay. Again, I'm not taking this show too seriously, and that's where the maximum enjoyment of the show is, honestly. But her character is definitely like, she's on game.
Like she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, she knows what she's doing, I guess. Narratively speaking,
like her and Simon are holding it down for real.
Yeah, like on God, they're actually carrying the
friendship team.
Yeah. So,
and the actress is Australian, so we gotta love her. But I think Claire, especially in episode 6, the slashing of the tires and everything, it was just like, I was like, no, she's on business, she stands on business, and we love to see it. Same thing as Simon, though I feel like we're jumping the gun a little bit and moving a little forward, but Simon, what are your thoughts on Simon?
I don't have too many crazy opinions on Simon. I think
he's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah, I think his acting is really good, and I mean, if we sort of imagine the place he's in when he's finding that he can start communicating with someone who's assumed dead, and especially in season 1, you have that scene where they find out that at least Maddie's body is alive. Like, that's a very tough situation to be put in, obviously. So I think his response was pretty well written.
Yeah.
You just think that you're making shit up. I mean, on God, if this happened to me, I would actually crash out so hard. if I found out that I'm seeing my dead friend at school.
Yeah, that's crazy. And imagine like going on a wild goose chase and trying to solve her murder. All
these crazy things.
And then you find out that she's just been like run away. Like, no, I would actually crash out.
Like, yeah, it would be pretty crazy if that happened. But yeah, I think Simon's character is relatively well written, and he's sort of a problem solver for us, and kind of becomes like the hands and the hands for
the muscle.
Yeah, for Maddie, who otherwise can't do anything. And I really like the split. Like, I think another thing that this show really excels in is you have the split of the spirit world that's stuck inside the school and the real world, and how those two interact. I think that's very
well done.
Yeah, I think it's very realistic, and the way they sort of go about doing it seems realistic and
tangible, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And then the way that even Simon finds out that he's not schizophrenic, pretty much, is when he realizes that, like, was Mr. Anderson, that was his name, right? The whole Mr. Anderson bust with the uniforms.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Obviously, like, if he was schizophrenic, his schizophrenic
wouldn't.
Girls
and the letter with Emilio.
Obviously, yeah, and then the letter with Emilio. So, you know, they've come up with really good ideas for that, and the whole like idea of needing to cross over for these ghosts, and like how they're stuck in this place. And
I mean, as Buddhists,
yeah, I mean, this is super relevant stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's any Buddhists listening,
but like, if you know, you know.
Yeah, if you guys would know, like, what it is like in our religion. It's like, I don't want to talk about religion.
But
it's like very similar.
Yeah,
right.
It's a similar ideology. So it was easier for us to get behind.
Yeah, I know, and that's kind of made this show sort of weirdly relatable in some
weird way.
Some weird way that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think it was a very interesting premise, and like, yeah, and they explored it to the best of their ability.
Thoughts on main character Maddie?
I think Maddie is great. Honestly, a very well-rounded character.
I love Peyton List.
Yeah, I mean, I think the actress does a phenomenal
She's
job.
so good. And the thing is, mind you, she was on Disney Channel. So it's like very Disney Channel acting. And like,
yeah.
you don't expect them to come out and be these powerhouse actors, you know? You can't expect them to be Florence Pugh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she is just, I feel like she's one of those like quiet, like actresses.
I think she does a really good job trying to play that character. Like, she's not overwhelming.
No,
you know?
but she does the character justice, and she's absolutely incredible. Like, I could not have thought of a better role. And again, with Cobra Kai, like, I feel like her character on that was the show is cheesy, which I love. Like, it doesn't, take itself seriously either. It's a very cheesy show. And sometimes the dialogue and the writing and whatnot is cheesy. And so to go from Cobra Kai to this, it's a really, really drastic change. And obviously Dee hasn't seen it. You haven't seen Cobra Kai.
No, I haven't seen Cobra Kai, no.
But yeah, to me personally, and seeing sort of her whole career, I mean, she was like really young when she started. It's kind of like, it's just an incredible journey to see her. It was like amazing.
Yeah, I think her acting was really like almost the perfect for that character.
Yeah,
like she really.
I mean, look, we're not Brad Pitt or like, like we don't know what we're doing. So.
Also, we're not crazy film critiques either.
No.
Like we honestly, we just watch this shit as like normal people.
Yeah.
And then we're just talking about it now with you guys as like.
We're literally because we're bored.
Yeah,
honestly.
Genuinely, we're doing this because we're bored.
And also because there's 5 fans in the entire fandom.
Yeah, like...
And we want more discussion.
I was so surprised when I went to
School Spirits.
Yeah, School Spirits. Just to like talk about the newest episode and see what theories were out there.
Yeah, there's like 5 people.
Yeah, no, honestly, like the fan base, I think it was like 20K.
Mm-hmm.
It was like something like that for the subreddit anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this show needs way more recognition.
For what it is, it's absolutely brilliant.
I think so. Like I feel like it would, maybe it's the platform. I think Paramount Plus is the lesser known.
Yeah, maybe.
Of all the streaming services.
But I've heard in America they have it on Netflix. Let us know if you're American.
Yeah.
Because for us, we had to.
If you are from America, then I guess you guys have it on Netflix. But us Australians, we have to watch it on Paramount Plus.
On Paramount Plus, yeah.
But even still, the fan base for the show is quite small.
Yeah.
And I guess it has sort of picked up in season 2, but season 3 is.
Yeah.
Let's hope there's going to be a season 3. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah. Wait. Can we go to a break?
Okay, yeah. We'll be back, guys. Okay, and we're back.
Yes. Yeah, so originally we were talking about so when we first watched this, I genuinely thought, because of viewership, ratings, from season 1 at least, we were only going to get 2 seasons.
Yeah, I think we were talking about that.
Yeah. We were talking about that watching episode 5 while we were waiting for 6. Yeah. Because we felt as though Rhonda was going to cross over and somehow Charlie and then somehow Wally and then Maddie's going to get her body back.
Yeah. I felt like sort of, I suppose, I mean, now that we've seen episode 6, I don't think I have the same opinion, but in episode 5, it sort of felt like the story was kind of converging to a point, even though it felt it would be kind of busy if they did it in 3 episodes.
Yeah.
But honestly, with episode 6, I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
I think we're definitely looking at a season 3 here.
Yeah, because the consensus on TikTok at least is saying that it felt like a filler episode, which I definitely do understand.
Yeah, it was definitely more lighthearted. Like, I suppose in terms of story progression, like for a show like this, they don't really have the space for a filler episode. Right. Because they're limited in budget and what they can do. So I think
it's also 8 episodes. Like, you really have to think, how much story can you tell?
Like, I don't think there's really enough space for what you would consider a filler, I guess. But yeah, I think for the story for episode 6 going forward, I think there's lots of very crazy implications.
Yes.
Any ideas on what you've seen so far?
I was for sure, after watching 5, I was for sure convinced that Rhonda was going to pass either this episode or 7.
Yeah, same. I had a similar idea.
Because of the whole thing with Marjorie. And I thought, because, I mean, at the start of season 1, when we see Dawn crossover, we think that, they have to really face what they're going through. And I still think that is the case. But we learned that maybe it's not inherently what killed you, but what you kind of regretted. That's not adjacent to your death, like something else in your life.
I think, and especially with like that scene in episode 6 where Wally's talking with
Charlie,
and like, I think there's two things, right? I think Wally has a lot of difficulty accepting, maybe secondary to his character. We didn't know this before. Like, he was a bully when he was in
School.
Yeah,
and like the 80s jock.
Yeah, it's like an 80s jock thing, and like he's like struggling to sort of reconcile with that. And me and Kay thought that, okay, maybe that's what's gonna get him to cross.
Yeah.
And likewise with Charlie, it's the fact that
he was gay and he couldn't.
But more so that he hasn't allowed himself to sort of move on from Emilio.
Yeah.
And kind of this episode, you see him sort of do that
with Yuri.
And I was like, yeah, I think that could be enough of a reason for that crossing over to happen for either of those characters.
Yeah.
But, obviously I think there's going to be more of a spectacle given they're like one part of the core.
Right, the core
group. I think Rhonda is definitely next.
I think
whether
so
that
too.
Is episode 7 or maybe even the last episode.
What's crazy is when I was doing my sleuthing, the cast said in an interview that the ending for season 2, I think it was the guy that played Simon, I believe his name is Christian, but he said that imagine the ending for season 2 is imagine the worst thing possible, it's worse than that.
Yeah, I think
which I have no idea what to think about that.
I hope it's good, because like I suppose the wait is going to be a long time afterwards for season 3.
At least like a year.
Yeah, at least a year. So
so it's like, yeah, I don't know, I just genuinely feel like for season, I mean, honestly, at this point, with viewerships going up and all the edits and everything that's happening on TikTok and everywhere, we're definitely getting a season 3. There's no way we're not.
Yeah, I think surely. Like, maybe that was the original plan. I'm pretty sure it was. I think 3 seasons is probably what the Paramount Plus like cleared the show for.
Yeah.
And then those 3 seasons
it's been written to fit that.
Yeah, it's been written to fit that. Yeah, I think season 2 is going in the right direction, and I suppose episode 6 we have what was the science teacher's name?
Oh, Mr. Martin.
Yeah, Mr. Martin, like meeting Janet on the dock.
Yeah.
Like, God, it's pulling my hair, that kind of thing, Like, first of all, how did the others not see him walk up?
Also, can we please... Okay, but by the way, like, in terms of, like, irritation with Nicole, sorry to go back there, but, like, are you, like, actually insane to leave a hostage inside of a cabin, like, by themselves?
Exactly, especially when you know that Xavier can get absolutely manipulated by Janet.
Also, like, I mean, like, okay, to be fair on Xavier's side a little bit, that's his ex-girlfriend that he cheated on. He probably feels so bad, and like it's probably hard for him, right? But
yeah, I mean, come on, Nicole, you could have had a bit more foresight.
Yeah, like come on, girl. And also, I think the funniest part is Simon be like, "What are you doing in a forest? Like, get your ass back there."
Yeah.
Which I loved, but yeah, no, I think like in terms of irritation, at the end when Simon just leaves her on the dock, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Like, what do you? What?
Yeah, I mean, like, I was just like, is she gonna run, bro?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I
Or
thought.
she's gonna dive and swim.
Like, she's gonna run, but
yeah.
it didn't happen. And then with
I mean, I think that's... Look, honestly, I was expecting her to quite literally jump into the water and swim.
Yeah. Like, but obviously it's not gonna be that easy. Like,
no.
It's not gonna be that easy. There's gonna be quite a lot of adversity to bring her back to the school.
Yeah, and I also think that with Janet, I think it shows kind of her humanity a little bit when Simon says, "I want you to go because you want to go and not because we're forcing you to."
Yeah.
And that's maybe what she's recollecting on and thinking.
Yeah, and like, I suppose it's the idea that they have to, at the end of the day, reconcile with the loss of their life. Like, they need to do that. And I think even as a viewer, when you're watching the show, you see Maddie, you feel the injustice of her having to watch
her life being taken away.
Being taken away effectively, but with the promise that she is still alive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's definitely very interesting.
It's quite context. It is deep. That's what I mean. It's like it makes you think.
Deep, yeah.
It makes you think because it's like, and especially the thing with Sandra, her mum, who's an alcoholic and has been suffering with that for a long time. It's like she's been dealing with that, and it's like you see her get better for her daughter, but it's not her.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And it's like, and then now that she's gone and now that she's missing again, that's and potentially.
And I think even a big part of that is Maddie being like, she deserves that treatment from her mum.
Yeah.
But it's not her who's receiving it.
Exactly, and it's like when when Simon and the gang kidnap Janet, it's like she goes back to the bar at the end of the episode as we see, and
that was kind of awkwardly written. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Yeah, it felt like it was kind of like okay, she's back. And then she drinks something, and then like, what, is she immediately drunk?
Yeah, I could understand that, but no, I think it's just
like
supposed to.
alcohol tolerance. Hello, that should be there, right? I mean, isn't she like an crazy alcoholic? So
Yeah, but I don't think she's like drunk when she drives to the bar. I just think she's
it kind
intended
of looked
to
like
be.
she was drunk.
I think she was just like upset.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We don't know. I'm not the writer, but yeah, but like, yeah, even that. It's like I've seen some people like be really annoyed by that too. But it's like I think the advice, especially with Mr. Anderson, and that's another thing that I want to talk about was Mr. Anderson, Mr. Martin, Janet, and Maddie. The parallels is insane.
Yeah,
and
there's a bit with you said Mr. Anderson and Maddie is a teacher-pupil relationship.
Yeah.
And then you have
Mr. Martin and Janet,
who's also a student-pupil relationship.
And the fact that they're in each other's bodies, and it's like,
yeah.
like I feel like that parallel, like this is stuff you don't think about, but it was written as the story progressed.
Yeah, I think that's a very good connection.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of alludes to a greater sense of what's happening within the story, and obviously with the marigolds in
Dawn's
in Dawn's scar, I think that's very cool. I think, and even with the ending of episode 6 where you see the door light up.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that
the exit?
What is that exit to? The real world, crossing over. And the idea that like going forward is through, and obviously I think these ideas will explore. The show will explore in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, but again, it's like one of those things that I think I don't know where they're going to go from this, because they could again, like I'm kind of scared with what the actors have said the ending is going to be. Because season 1 ended, you were like, what the heck is happening? Like, oh my god, it's her body, she's in this, who's this, blah, 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 blah. And then I just can't imagine how season 2 would end in a way that's satisfactory, because season 1 ending was not satisfactory.
Yeah.
For the viewer.
Yeah, like I watched season 1 with 5 episodes of season 2 already out.
Yeah.
And I felt wildly disappointed.
Yeah.
For having to wait like 2 minutes to watch the first episode of season 2.
Yeah.
I had that benefit, right?
Right.
But yeah, if I was like one of the original viewers and like having to wait 2 years for season 2 would have been bloody infuriating.
Yeah.
Like I would have hated that.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Again, but I feel like, yeah, I mean, the writers are doing an incredible job at like you keeping us on our toes, but I also do think that, like, you know, there's so many theories out there, and it's like we recently read one about like cyanide and where that could go.
I think I don't know the exact Reddit user who talked about it, but I see you're on Reddit.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking credit for this, but he talked about how salt, how there was that interaction with
Janet and Mr. Martin.
Yeah, Janet and Mr. Martin about the smelling cyanide, and there's like the fact that cyanide is a salt, and the whole dropping salt argument that
Xavier made.
Yeah, Xavier made. So I think there's a very interesting parallel there about, and maybe even an implication that Janet was maybe poisoned, and that's what killed her, because cyanide kills you very quickly and you don't know what's happening. And so yeah, to that Reddit user, I think you made a really good point.
Yeah, that was a really good point.
I really like that idea, and yeah, because especially you kind of do sort of sense that there is something fishy going on with that elderly man. What was his name?
Eugene something Bergstrom.
I don't remember any of these names.
Yeah.
But yeah, that in that
the retirement.
The retirement home scene where he's talking about how they were too meticulous to do that. So.
Yeah. I also weirdly, when Maddie is in Janet's scar, there's that lady with the pearls.
Yeah. I think
the brunette lady.
Best running theory is that's
Mr. Martin's fiance.
Yeah, fiance.
And I was like, at first I was thinking that, and I was like, okay. But then remember, I think it was 5. I don't remember if it was 4 or 5. But when Maddie's in it for the first time, and there's that like half burnt person that's like, I was robbed. I don't know if that was Janet. What if that was Mr. Martin's fiance again?
Yeah, I think
she was robbed of her future with her husband.
Perhaps, and there's some really messed up implications in that.
Yeah, with the teacher-student situation.
Yeah, I think. And
like, hello, is this
and obviously
Aria?
that at the time, what was it, 1950s?
Yeah,
so a lot of those weird shit did go down. So I don't know if that's the direction they want to push that in. Whatever it is, the relationship between Mr. Martin and Janet is not healthy.
No,
clearly,
definitely not.
She's running away from him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I think that's that's kind of where we're at with
predictions and where like theories. I don't know where it's gonna go. This is the thing. I feel like I've been mind blown before with this show that it's like I don't know where they could literally go. I mean, I recently saw an interview where the Duffer Brothers from Stranger Things talked about how some guy on Reddit is probably cracking the end of season 5 because, you know, it's all laid out there is what he said. But whereas with this show, I'm like, nothing is laid out there. Everything's off the table.
Yeah. And like how they, I suppose it's hard to sort of theorize, and I mean, I suppose you could theorize.
Yeah, you definitely can.
And I really like what they're doing. And yeah, I think overall, thumbs up from me. It's like, this is sort of like an appreciation post, maybe even sure. about how surprising the show was and how it stands out from the other filler material that you find on Netflix or
on like other
streaming services. It's really crazy how much money gets pumped into those, and most of them are really shit.
Yeah, and I also do feel like with a lot of shows nowadays that are being made, it's almost, they lack so much depth.
Yeah.
And it's like this show
I mean, it's not that it needs depth. Clearly, this is not a super depth.
I mean, but it definitely is deeper.
It has its moments, but it's not like
it doesn't take itself seriously.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't take itself seriously.
But it's like you feel those emotional moments, those emotional beats of the story, like quite literally, and like even to like when that whole scene between.
I think the word you're trying to look for is most shows are just poorly planned, where this one feels better. Yeah, planned,
for sure.
And more active action is taken to do it right,
to explain the story.
I
also do think too, it's like a lot of money gets funneled into these projects, and then, you know, it's shit, so then all the viewerships go down, and then they discontinue it, they cancel the show, and we've seen that multiple times. But even like Anne with an E, for example, which I'm trying to get him to watch.
I need to watch that.
Anne with an E, one of my favorite shows, they cancelled it after season 3, and we were supposed to get a 4th season, didn't get one, but incredible, like viewership was like, you know, high, like it wasn't like, I mean, it's not Stranger Things, but it's, you know, it's there. So it's like,
no, that's not saying that Stranger Things is the end all be all.
No,
we'll discuss this later.
This is a discussion
there's
topic.
A big episode coming, or maybe even a couple episodes
on Stranger Things alone.
That's probably one of the biggest bonding experiences we've had as siblings. And but we'll get to that later.
And honestly, we might even have to like discuss it season by season or point by point. Like it goes quite.
We're not even sure if we're going to do this podcast again. Honestly. We're just doing, this is like episode 0, so we're just kind of trying it out.
And if no one is listening, well then hello
I guess
to
we're
you.
talking to ourselves.
Well, we do that anyways.
I mean, we do that anyways. Anyway, so
but like I think every conversation we have is like a podcast. But I just feel like a lot of times with shows, it's kind of like that. This is one of those shows that I Cobra Kai. But that show has a lot of backing. You've got Karate Kid, like freaking Ralph Macchio, in that show to back it up, and same thing with, I forget his name, William, I don't remember his name, but the guy that plays Johnny. It's like you have that legacy of those stories, and that's why, you know, you want to come back and you want to see what these characters are up to. These are completely new characters. We've never seen them before. It's a new story, but it still hits. I feel close to these characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think we were discussing this earlier. It's like, we need new IPs, you know?
Yeah.
We need new IPs. We don't want reboots.
Yeah.
We don't want
remakes or
modern interpretations. We want new, fresh ideas.
Yeah.
And I think...
especially in speaking as South Asians as well. It's like, representation is a huge thing. And I definitely do feel like...
But, you know, we have our differences in how we think we should go about it. Maybe. I don't know. But,
I definitely do think that, like, you know, I like, with all things with recasting, that's all good and all, but it doesn't give us the stories that we need.
Yeah, like, a character shouldn't be distilled down to their...
Race?
I feel like that's really awkward. And,
it doesn't do much for a story.
Yeah, it doesn't do much for a story, and I think we need new, fresh ideas that come from genuine narrative intention, you know, and
especially with, I mean, part of the reason why I love this show so much was finding out that the writers were siblings, because like I mean how ironic, you know, like our whole show is about that. So it's like when I originally like was thinking about that, I was like, it's incredible that these two siblings were able to take, I mean, I think they talked about dealing with someone with alcohol. I could be wrong, please don't quote me on this, but someone who's gone through hardships and their idea of grief, and that's how they birthed this story. And it's like, yeah, I feel like Duffer Brothers, great example.
Yeah,
you know, it's like I feel like there's so many great storytelling like ventures and so many great storytelling groups of people and siblings and whatnots and partners, but it's like it doesn't matter at the end of the day if the story does not have heart and it doesn't come from a place of like, what's the word? I'm looking for a word.
I can't think of a word.
Yeah, I can't think of a word. You get what I mean. You
Yeah,
fill in the
yeah,
blank.
yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't come from a place of like genuine, like I want to tell this story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like narrative purpose.
Yeah, narrative.
I think we
purpose,
want narrative purpose. We want a story that can stand on its own.
Yeah.
And has good characters. And
Yeah.
I think kind of sort of coming back full circle.
Yeah.
School Spirits does that
Yeah.
really well.
Sorry.
For the record, she just puts her foot down on the ground, like, and looks at me and smiles, and I'm like, "This is not funny.
I had a cramp coming in.
This is not funny."
I had a cramp coming in. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
We were having a huge conversation about cramps last night. Anyways,
Yeah.
like leg cramps.
Leg cramps.
But yeah, honestly, and I honestly like huge props to the production team, the cast, the writers, everybody on this show. I've never what's the word? Like, I feel like there's not a show, like, watching Wednesday for the first time, I mean, that's a huge show,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Like, it blew up everywhere, and
Yeah.
obviously Jenna Ortega's beautiful, amazing,
Yeah,
and awesome. But, you know,
it didn't feel like this, though.
yeah,
It didn't.
it doesn't.
Like, watching Wednesday, it was, like, a really well-produced, like...
It's Tim Burton, of course.
Yeah,
it is,
yeah, it was, like, this really well-produced show,
Mm.
but I didn't get the same feels.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, season 1, like, probably one of the best shot, if nothing else,
Yeah,
one of the best shot
TV shows.
TV shows
Yeah.
that I've seen. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was really, you can tell the creative purpose
Mhm.
behind what they were doing.
Yeah, just the lighting alone deserves awards.
Exactly, yeah, like the
Yeah.
lighting and like all creative decisions had a purpose, and it
Purpose,
just
yeah.
didn't exist in a vacuum. And I think this show did really well. So if one of the creators, by some happen chance,
Here's this. You are incredible.
Keep it up.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Exactly.
And I really, like, again, like, if, yeah, like, and also we found out that Shredhead 99 is actually
is a
official, like,
yeah, I think
which
that's
I think is so
it's
funny.
a cool touch on the subreddit where he's like they
Yeah,
I don't know who they are.
we don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, like who are posting things on Reddit
Mm.
and sort of breaking the fourth wall. I think that's very good.
It's incredible, and I feel like they know their fandom.
It feels like grassroots.
Yeah.
You know, because this show is small and it's quaint.
Mhm.
It's like
They know who's watching.
exactly, and it's really
They
quaint.
know the fans want.
Yeah,
They know the
yeah.
fans want Maddie and Wally. They know the fans want this type of
Yeah.
story beat. Like, it's very much, it's catered to its audience. It knows who its audience
yeah,
is.
yeah.
And even I also, like, Reddit is a scary place. Okay,
Bro,
and
Reddit is a place of many things.
yes, it is. And I feel like something about the subreddit is it's incredibly welcoming. Everyone is like, you know,
Talking about things.
Yeah.
Even though I do see the Maddie hate. Sorry, not Maddie.
the Nicole hate.
Nicole hate.
Yeah, let's
tone down on
let's
Nicole
tone it.
hate.
Yeah, yeah,
Even
yeah.
though it does drive me up a wall.
it does, but
Guys, let's
it's
leave
it's a
Nicole
character.
alone.
It's a
Yeah,
character.
it's a
The
character,
actress is
character.
doing amazing.
Yeah, I think the actress is doing a good job.
Yeah.
I can't fault a single actress in this show, actress or actor.
Yeah.
They all do a
Incredible.
really good job.
Incredible. We
So,
haven't even
yeah.
talked about the ghosts.
Oh my god, yeah. We haven't even talked about the ghosts.
Okay, quick fire through. Who's your favorite ghost? What are you feeling?
Dude, it's like either Charlie or Wally. I
Yeah.
mean, I really like Rhonda's character. Really grew on me as well.
Yeah,
I think her trauma of that's such a shit death to be like literally choked out by somebody who you thought.
Okay, I don't know about choked out.
She got choked out. I mean, what else do you want to say?
We don't know how she died though.
Wait, no, they literally said
She choked.
yeah, she got choked.
I
She got
thought
choked in the office.
Oh, she got strangled.
Yeah, she got strangled.
Oh shit.
Yeah, she got choked out. How did you not know this?
Oh my god.
Yeah, anyway. And Wally, I think Wally, yeah,
The
especially
football
with,
thing.
yeah, I think we touched on that, the whole football thing and how he's
Mhm.
kind of a dick in high school and
Yeah, but that's recent.
yeah,
The first
yeah.
thing he was like disappointing his mom and
yeah,
like
yeah,
that
yeah,
everything was
yeah.
crazy.
That was kind of the first thing, but this is like a more deep rooted character flaw.
Yeah.
And then
Charlie.
Charlie's great. Charlie's great.
So endearing.
Yeah, I think not to be controversial, it's really hard to write a good gay character these days.
I definitely do agree.
Yeah.
I don't, and that's not like there's so many incredible
yeah,
ones.
there is
There's so many
Arcane.
incredibles.
Hello.
Yeah.
Um,
We might do an episode on
Yeah,
Arcane.
we might do an episode on Arcane as
But
well.
like, yeah, I feel like a lot of times, like, the gay narrative is sometimes like written.
It feels preachy in some shows. It can feel preachy,
Yeah.
and that can like really like switch you off from watching it.
Yeah, because and it's the same thing with like, and me, I'm a woman, I'm speaking
Yeah.
of feminism and sometimes
Yeah.
in stuff like that, and it's like, what am I watching?
Exactly, yeah. Its purpose here is purely narrative.
It's
and
narrative,
it's not
and
a political comment or anything.
No, and the thing is, it's not integral to his character.
Yeah, it's
It's
not.
just his experience with love.
It's just, yeah, exactly. That's just who that character
That's
is.
who he is, and it's
And I think they did Charlie really well. So
So
that's why
I
I
love
tossed it out
Charlie.
by either Wally or Charlie. I think they're very good in the ghost side.
Oh,
So-
and I was like, ew, like, who is Yuri? Like, I thought he was so sketch. I thought he, like, was, like, hiding some shit. But he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's
like,
pretty
he's a
good.
pretty good character. Yeah.
I guess we'll learn more about it
Mhm.
with the final 2 episodes of
Yeah.
season 2. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
As for the future of whatever this is,
Yeah, I think we're coming up on 50 minutes here, so
sorry about that.
Yeah.
If you had to listen,
I can't believe we yapped for 50 minutes.
we could honestly keep going.
Yeah,
And that's
we
the
could.
problem.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the problem.
That's probably why we decided to do this.
Yeah, we could keep going.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have a name, please let us know because we're struggling.
Yeah.
We were thinking the sibling sesh, but that sounds a little weird.
That sounds really fucking weird.
Yeah, that sounds so
Let's
weird.
actually take that back.
Yeah, I take that. I resent.
That sounds really fucking weird.
That's so weird. Okay, the popcorn pod. I don't know.
Popcorn pod. I think I kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean,
but this podcast isn't really limited to movies. And TV
no,
shows.
definitely.
I think we're going to talk about other life things
we
as
can
well.
talk about F1.
Yeah, F1's a big one.
Yeah,
looking forward to the new Drive to
Cars.
Survive.
Yeah,
Cars is a big one. I really like my Cars.
he's into cars. I'm not,
Yeah,
but
and
like,
I'm getting Kay into Cars as well.
yeah, I'm kind of What else have we got? Just I guess growing up. South
growing up
Asian
stories and like stories we've had in high school.
Yeah,
and sort
experiences.
of like experiences. Hopefully, a little bit of not actually. That's funny. I'm gonna keep that to myself.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Let's not.
That's funny. That's funny.
Okay. Yeah. We'll definitely decide. Honestly, it's really, really hard because, again, part of the reason why we started this was because we felt as though, I mean, you were talking about your friend who who said that he didn't have a relationship with his sibling. We don't want to
exactly.
no names.
Yeah. I don't want to say anything because I don't want my friend to listen and think I'm outing him, but it's just in general, we find that siblings find it difficult to relate to one another until, especially when they're young, and then kind of growing up, you grow to realize, they're not a bad person.
Yeah.
They're just a person.
Yeah.
Like this guy's all right, But so I think this podcast is sort of an exploration of shared experiences and mostly movies and TV shows is kind of our center point.
But adjacent.
Yeah, we will branch out to other topics.
Other stuff. And
I hope you enjoy listening today. Coming up on like 55 minutes now, actually 52.
Yeah.
But
I hope you enjoyed. Let us know names and stuff, and if we will probably be back if we have at least one person that comments and says, please post next week. We'll do it.
We'll do it.
We'll do it.
Because this is actually kind of fun.
It's fun.
And
we're bored.
And we're going into university, and even though it's difficult to do, I think a quick yap session that's like 40-50 minutes long is pretty doable.
Manage,
so I think we can keep doing this.
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts. I think we're going to be opening up at r/School Spirits for this one. So
for all of you on there,
if you're from that, thank you for getting to this stage.
Yes.
We will...
Please comment. Please let us know what you think, because we're going insane because there's 5 fans in this whole fandom, and we feel like we want to discuss. We don't know what's happening. We want theories. We didn't really touch too much on theories because we kind of yapped. Yeah. But we definitely will.
But maybe next week we can talk about theories with episode 7.
Definitely let us know, and let us know who your favorite characters are, what you like about the show, anything you want really. Yeah. Also, if you're a creator of the show, please keep going and
thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. Yes. I see your intention, your creativity, vision. And I love it.
We love it. All right, this is Kay.
This is D.
And we're signing off.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.